Welcome back to Living Local. According to the Red Cross, nearly 47,000 fires occurred during the winter holidays, claiming more than 500 lives, causing more than 2,200 injuries, and costing $554 million in property damage. In fact, home fires are the most frequent disaster response for the Red Cross. Today we're getting some preparedness tips to help you and your family stay safe this holiday season. Joining us in studio is Trish Burnett. She is the Executive Director of the Red Cross, and Connie Dudgeon. She is the Volunteer Specialist with the American Red Cross, serving the Quad Cities and West Central Illinois. Thank you ladies so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So first of all, Trish, what disasters in general does the Red Cross respond to?
You know, we respond to everything from hurricanes, floods. We had that big response this year, home fires, earthquakes, all different, but home fires is our most significant response. Single family home fires.
And
just devastating.
It really is, and that is what we're giving the most attention to today. Now, with home fires being the most frequent disaster response, what do the facts tell us about how they start in the first place?
Well, you know, this time of year, we're entering the holiday season, which is such a joyful season, but it's also a dangerous season. You have visitors in your home, you're using candles, maybe heating sources such as space heaters. There's just a lot more risk. People are cooking more, all kinds of additional risks, which can create problems and cause home fires. So it's really that time of year you want to pay extra attention to your safety in your home.
And as we're highlighting this topic, what are some preparedness tips that you would suggest for our viewers to really make sure that their family is safe during the holiday season?
You know, there's a couple things. On the preparedness side, we now have battery-operated candles. Use things like that because with kids and pets, there can be accidents so easily with those. With cooking, don't leave anything unattended in your stove, on your stovetop, nowhere. And also really understand with your guests, let them know how to get out of your house should there be a fire. Make sure everybody has a plan. We spend so much time planning our holiday meals, but we don't take a few minutes and plan our safety. So really, you know, have a meeting place outside the home. Make sure your kids and all your visitors know 2 different ways to get out of your home. Just really have some preventative things in place so that it doesn't end in a tragedy.
Right, so important to stay proactive during this time of year.
It is.
Now, we mentioned all the different disasters that the Red Cross responds to. Connie, who does all of this work?
Well, mostly volunteers. Volunteers comprise over 90% of the American Red Cross workforce, and that's locally and nationally. So we're always looking for new volunteers who are willing to expend a little of their time and energy helping others, and they get a lot out of it. So we have a great local team of volunteers, and we're looking for new faces to join them.
Fantastic. What are the opportunities that are available for volunteers?
We have many. I'll start by focusing on home fire response. Our home fire campaign has 2 prongs. One is responding to a fire after it's taken place. And so we have a local disaster action team. Usually it's comprised of a captain and 2 other volunteers, ideally, who would go together to the scene of the fire to render comfort, financial assistance, perhaps provide, you know, assistance for a hotel room for the family to stay. They're trained in psychological first aid. They're fully trained so that the fire department deals with the fire and the Red Cross can tend to the family. And so that's really important. And people who do that find it very rewarding. Some of the people who volunteer to do that have had home fires, and they like to give back because they know how frightening and upsetting that was, and they can comfort someone else. The other prong is preventative, and the Red Cross has a campaign called Sound the Alarm, Save a Life. And so every spring, and this spring in April, we will be installing free smoke alarms all throughout the Quad Cities. It's just a 1-day commitment. It's really fun, and it's something that people can do just for that 1 day if they don't have a great deal of time to commit. So we'd love people to join us with that too.
Wow, so people are needed in both of those prongs, either on the educational preventative side or being there to serve families when disaster strikes. And you mentioned psychological first aid. This is the first time I've ever heard of that term before, and how incredibly important I'm sure that that is, something that maybe people do not think about. You go in and you deal with the physicality of it, but what about the emotional side of it too? So that's incredible that people and volunteers are there to help people with that aspect. Are there any types of volunteers that you need the most?
We definitely are always looking for disaster action team members here in the Quad Cities and in every county where we operate, because you want somebody who can respond quickly, somebody that's your neighbor, who knows you or knows your community, and who can get to you quickly so that you're not left waiting. So we're always looking for that. We're also looking for duty officers, and basically that's a volunteer dispatcher. So they receive a call from a fire chief or from somebody who's called our helpline, and they're going to be the ones that call the roster of other volunteers and assemble a team and make sure that help is on the way. And that's a great opportunity for somebody who has limited mobility or who has disabilities or has a schedule where they can't leave the house. Perhaps they're a caregiver of children or elders, and they can do this from home or from wherever they are as long as they have a reliable phone connection and a computer. So that's a great life link that you don't have to leave the house to provide that.
Wow, it's great that you have such a wide variety of positions that people can fill for really any walk or background of life. I know that you guys are hosting a volunteer open house, so that is a great opportunity for people to get some more details. What are the details on the open house?
That will be Thursday, November 14th at noon. So we welcome people to bring a brown bag lunch. We won't be providing the meal, but you can bring your own, and we will provide bottled water and dessert. And we'll have some of our current volunteers there to talk about what it's like and answer any questions somebody has about what it means to be a Red Cross volunteer.
You know, ladies, as we're talking about all the disaster relief that the Red Cross does, and especially the people that are there to help people when disaster strikes, I'm sure that can be so incredibly challenging. You are seeing people when devastation has hit them. I'm sure it's incredibly emotional. What motivates you to continue the work that you're doing?
You know, I think anytime you can help other people, we benefit so much because they're so grateful for the simple things we do to help them. So it really is just a good feeling, and especially when it's right in your home community that you're helping others.
Wonderful. What about you, Connie?
I think that Trish would agree with me that our volunteers inspire us every day.
Right.
If I'm tired or I don't feel like going the extra mile that day, I look at people who are doing it for no pay, just out of the love of their hearts, and who give again and again so much of themselves. And I've got to meet them halfway and help them and support them because I love seeing what they're doing. And they're fun.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, we do have a good time. We respond to tragedy, but it's not all bad times and sadness. We have a good time.
Oh, that's a fantastic point to highlight there. Well, Connie, Trish, thank you ladies so much for being here. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, you guys, for more information, you can visit redcross.org/CSIL. We'll also have those details posted on our quadcities.com. More Living Local continues after the break. Stay with us.